Hello, my friend and earthly neighbor, and welcome to the wrap-up of August in the summer and the beginning of a psychedelic September. Last week, we had a total solar eclipse in Leo that knocked the conscious lights out of most of us on the Earth. This week, Sensei says, with one more week of Mercury retrograde, it's time to unzip your concept of reality. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your weekly Namaste Today. Welcome to Namaste Today, a spiritual way to kickstart your day. I'm your heartfelt host, and I call myself the Sensei to Serious Joy, Christopher Witecki. Welcome back, my friend. Namaste. Well, the time has been turbulent indeed. In my opinion, all of 2017 has been rather spiritually turbulent. And I believe this is going to be the final week of us getting to the bottom of what we want our lives, aka Virgo, and reality to be. So in our upcoming segment this week, I'm going to talk about how you're going to spend the entire week probably unprogramming or unzipping your concept of reality. And later in our tea time, we'll talk about how Saturn has now gone direct. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. The zodiac weather is for Monday, August 28th to Friday, September 1st, 2017. Looking at your 5-day moodcast. Well, looking at the week at a glance, it starts off rather groggy but gets sharper through the week. Let's drill down. On Monday, it's overcast, cloudy, and drifting in and out of reality as pensive step 5 rules the day and you're questioning what's real. On Tuesday, it's sunny and optimistic. Things restore to balance and you begin to get back on track. But Wednesday, it's cloudy with a chance of destiny as step 7 rules the day and the moon calls you to the story you were born to live. On Thursday, it's sunny, large, and in charge, and probably feeling more in control than you have the entire transit. And then on Friday, it's sunny and advancing forward to a weekend of healing. Well, this week we are delicately taking apart what we have seen as our reality and putting in the places to rebuild a reality. And our next upcoming segment this week, I'm going to walk you through the steps of that growth. Taking a sneak peek at the upcoming week, I coined this week Unzipping Reality. That's because we have Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and this week I argue as we move forward in the sign of reality and our thoughts move backwards in the sign of reality, we're going to unzip and redefine what we think reality is. Now, the real punch, in my opinion, was last week. We had a total solar eclipse in Leo at step 28. It was a powerful eclipse, which honestly, I felt for days afterwards. It set an impression on all of us about what our heart should aim for and really gave us a measurement of how far we are to that serious joy or not. This week, we're going to be looking really hard at reality, and it's hard not to look at reality because reality is so real. It's what most of us equate as life, even though there's 11 other states of consciousness besides the physical realm. And we're going to look at this reality and really compare it to that heartfelt intention that we tried to aim for in the solar eclipse. Although the Sun and Mercury have moved into reality, which means our heart and our thoughts are actually focused on reality, Mars and Venus are climbing and graduating out of Leo, which means it is now time to bring in and receive the love you set intention for as you set the stages for what reality will be. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you probably know I happen to think that 2017 is a profound change. The North Node has not been in Leo since 1998. The heart is Leo, and the heart is what we've come to express. So we haven't been told by the universe or guided by the universe back into our hearts for 18 years. Therefore, this particular shift this year between Leo, the heart's desire, and Virgo, what reality is, this shift may be one of the biggest transformations that you have seen with your own eyes or witnessed in maybe 18 or 17 years, just because the core intention of what we want is changing. This week with Mercury retrograde, I believe we're going to break down what those concepts of reality have been. In other words, what life has been, what has brought us to this stage, what decisions have we made that has brought us to this point in our life, and at the same time, slowly start to build up what we believe reality should become. And after Labor Day weekend here in the United States, or next weekend for the rest of the world, on Monday, actually on Tuesday, September 6th, Mercury will go direct, and it's my belief we will now move forward with building that reality. So let's walk you through the week and give you a little synopsis on what you can expect this week. And then later in our tea time, I have some extra information about Saturn going direct on Friday. Now, on Monday, I think it's going to be cloudy and drifting in and out of reality. The weekend that we lived before was a breakthrough weekend, so you might have had some huge wake-up calls between the Friday and the Monday beginning of the week. Just realizations inside of yourself, getting deeper, understanding, and perhaps maybe things literally breaking down, like your old Chrysler broke down and now you have to buy a new car. So on Monday, things are really drifty. Mercury, of course, is retrograde. Mercury rules the day. The moon is in Scorpio, which means we're kind of paranoid half the day. Then the moon moves into Sagittarius, which makes us paranoid in the sense of, where's my life going? Where's this all leading up to anyways? That sort of thing. So Monday's not a great day for you to plan anything in the outer world. In fact, if you want to take a 4-day week, Sensei says call in sick Monday. Tuesday, it's sunny and optimistic. So things get optimistic. The moon shifts into the second decan of Sagittarius. And this is the point where we begin to build up momentum about where our story can be. So I think options will come to us on Tuesday. New doors will open on Tuesday. If you want to ask a question or ask somebody out or go for a job or go for something, probably wait till Tuesday, because Tuesday is when people will be open-minded, and I'm encouraging you to be open-minded too. Again, what is the big question? Well, the universe is trying to get you to get to what should reality be? What should life be like? What should health be like? What are the physical details that I need to live in my serious joy? So on Tuesday, you're opening up to maybe options you hadn't before. On Wednesday, it's cloudy but destined, okay? It's cloudy with a chance of destiny. The cloudiness is due to step 7 ruling the day. So it's a holy day, okay? And it's a holy day or a Pisces ruled day in a Virgo consciousness. This is also the day where the Sun and Neptune begin to oppose each other. Now, because the Sun is in Virgo and Neptune rules Pisces as in Pisces, as the Sun and Neptune oppose each other, we enter into this weird space-time vortex. We did this last year and the year before. I can recall this time, where just like the time ceases to exist. I mean, you know, either it's like not ticking at all, or it's like the whole day zips by, and we're really basically shifting dimensions beginning on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, I think you begin to shift to a new dimension, and that starts with letting go of your current dimension. So I would not recommend operating any heavy machinery or doing any skydiving or having any surgeries on your body if you can, really for at least 10 days starting on Wednesday, and that's Wednesday, August 30th. So give it some time, because we're going to have that opposition. It's going to be weird. So Thursday, things all of a sudden sharpen up. After a really cosmic UFO kind of Wednesday, on Thursday, you're sunny, you're sharp, you're in charge. Venus is now at step 6 Leo, so now you're really open to start to receive some of the fruits of all of your heart-based intentions you did during August and during Leo. So I don't think we start to see results, or at least good results, or flowers blooming of all of our Leo work until Thursday. And the moon will move into Capricorn on a Capricorn-ruled day, so it's highly likely that on Thursday your mind will be made up. You'll be ready to make some decisions to go forward in certain directions or not in other directions. And Thursday will be the strongest day to get business done if you need to do business. Then on Friday, it's sunny but advancing forward. So it looks like Friday will probably be the busiest business day of the week. If you have to get business done in this Mercury retrograde, go ahead and do it. Here in the United States, it is the beginning of a 3-day weekend, so I think everyone's going to feel the hustle bustle anyways of things moving forward. But Friday is really the day where you would put into action any of these reality changes that you might have come up with in the last couple of days. And that decision on Thursday is probably some sort of a decision that you no longer perceive reality as this way, and instead you want to head that way. So as of Friday, moving into the holiday weekend, I think you're going to be feeling that and wanting to move on it. So Friday is a very positive day. Just so you know, Saturday will be very fertile, and Sunday will be a very healing day. But there is another force at work here that I haven't even mentioned yet, and that is that Saturn has gone direct in Sagittarius. And this is the story you were born to live. So go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our weekly tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is Saturn is direct. And usually when you hear Saturn is direct, you kind of get a little bummed out because Saturn is the serious planet. It shows us where we have to get serious about something. And usually it means we get our astro kicked by the universe because that's usually the spot we don't want to grow up in. But Saturn has been in Sagittarius now for quite some time. In fact, Saturn entered into Sagittarius on December 24th, 2014. Now, Sagittarius is our collective consciousness. It is basically where all of human consciousness resonates from. It is where our stars are born from. The galactic center is at step 27 Sagittarius. And it basically means where Earth's current collective consciousness and wisdom is. So if you've been following this whole spiritual enlightenment thing for a while, it was the galactic center that actually shifted from step 26 to step 27 in December of 2012. So that's when the universe said, okay, it's time to move forward with our collective destiny. Then, 2 years later, Saturn moved into Sagittarius, which basically was the universe saying, okay, it's time to get serious about us going towards our collective destiny. And that meant us facing a lot of our belief structure issues. And that was again in 2014. So from December 24, 2014, the universe has been kind of pounding us to grow up and change what we believe. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of cultural change. The end of Obama, the entire election period, all this discussion about the way we should be, the way things ought to be, right? This is the collective conversation about what we truly believe. And the truth is, people already are born with their beliefs. Their heart already has a belief. That belief in your heart is your call to destiny. The real issue is, how serious were you about your beliefs? How willing were you to follow what your heart told you? So Saturn has been kicking the shift out of us since 2014 to grow up, to get to the core of our beliefs, to drop our personal ignorances, and to get onto the path of the story we were born to live. In my opinion, wherever the galactic center is in your natal chart represents the story you were born to live. So we went moving forward, and as of April, let's see, what was it exactly? April 6th of this year, 2017, Saturn retrograded again, which meant we got a little bit of a break of our story moving forward. Our story really started to hammer forward after the national presidential elections in 2016, and Saturn just went blazing forward all the way to April, where it stopped. And since April, we've all been doing a lot of inner clearing, facing our ego issues, our emotional issues in Cancer, our mental issues in Gemini, our self-esteem issues in Taurus, and our love issues in Leo. All this inner work with the Saturn retrograde, all this inner work really asking us, is your heart and your thoughts and your ego and your values and your emotions, are these parts of yourself aligned with your core belief, with the story you were born to live? So this is one of the big reasons why I think life has been a bummer in 2017, is because we've been forced to do a lot of inner work before we've been allowed to do any outer work or our actual calling. And most of my clients who've gotten readings or I've had one-on-one discussions with are still, figuring out what exactly they feel their calling is. So now that Saturn is direct, this is the final lap of Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn going direct last Friday was at step 21, which is the Grandmaster step of Saturn, of Sagittarius, if you don't know. So it was really about our core belief and redefining our core belief. And so this week we begin moving forward now with this core theory, let's say, that we're looking to see if it turns into a belief. This week we begin to move forward with the story we were born to live and get onto our fated path. In fact, since Mercury is retrograde, it's highly likely that some destined events will happen between now and September 5th, just so you know, because it might be in alignment with the story you were born to live. Now, Saturn will cross... when Saturn went retrograde on April 6th, it was actually conjuncting the galactic center. So on April 6th, the universe was bringing us to was holding the note, basically, for the story we were born to live, even though we were clueless. And it retrograded from the galactic center back to step 21, which is the Grandmaster step of Sagittarius. And now it's going to go direct all the way into Capricorn. In fact, Saturn will hit galactic center, Mercury retrograde, will hit the galactic center for the final time, okay, in this transit, on November 25th of 2017. So right before Thanksgiving here in the United States, I think people will come into absolute clarity about what their calling is, and I believe most people will be finding themselves on their calling. I think that calling will be in full motion and in full direction. And then Saturn leaves Sagittarius for 30 years, or 29 and a half years, beginning December 21st, right after the winter solstice. So it's like, as soon as the winter solstice hits, Saturn hits Capricorn, and at that point, I think the collective consciousness now gets very serious about pursuing the story they were born to live. So as you can hear, this is a very big deal for our consciousness. And the last time Saturn was in Sagittarius was the mid-80s, 30 years ago. And I think we were very asleep as a culture, very asleep as a world planet. It was before the internet. It was before we began to exchange information. So only this most recent Saturn and Sagittarius transit, I believe, has had the opportunity for human beings to truly discover their personal calling. So I find it to be exciting times. Now, that said, as always, I want to go through the 12 signs and talk about what Saturn is working on and what that galactic center means for you. And you can, of course, use both your sun sign and your rising sign. In fact, your rising sign might be more accurate as far as how the story ends up becoming, but your sun sign will probably be more appropriate for right now, and that's usually how it is. Like, our rising sign is usually how it works out in the future, and our sun sign is usually how we're dealing with the past. So you want to listen probably for both. And it sounds like we have some sort of an air show going on up there, so we'll just call it Mercury retrograde. Pardon the noise of this helicopter. So let's begin, as always, with Aries, okay? Aries with Saturn and Sagittarius, they are the purebred humans. They've been working basically on their belief structure. So all this back and forth of Saturn has been that what you were born believing is probably not what you actually do believe in your soul, and so Aries have been having to get to the core of what they actually believe. By the time Saturn crosses the galactic center on November 25th, you will, Aries and Aries risings, know the story you were born to live. And if you don't know what the story is, look down at your feet, because you'll be living it. Okay, so just, if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just a farmer in Nebraska, that was a story you're born to live, okay? Like, and there's reason for it. Don't think it stops there. It just identified there. Now, Tauruses and Sagittarius have been changing their personal boundaries, their personal comfort zones. And I got to say, as a Taurus, it has been so uncomfortable since 2014. I have frankly hated this transit, to be honest with you, out of all Sagittarius. But I'm hopeful of where it's going, because when it crosses the galactic center, you will have all of your boundaries and definition of yourself in place. You will know who you are meant to be and who you are not meant to be. And the person you're meant to be is the calling that you have with the universe. That is the story you were meant to be. The story you were meant to be was the person that you were meant to become, okay? And it was become because it's the house of transformation. So Tauruses were all came here to change, basically, which is funny because that's what we don't do quite often, right? So it is the person you change into that you are destined for. It is what your life turns into. So for Tauruses, really, what does your life look like in November? This is the life you were meant to live. This is the character you're meant to be. All right? Geminis. Geminis have been changing their ideas and philosophies on relationships and what marriages are and what partnerships are. And when you cross the galactic center in November, Geminis will be clear of the partnerships they are destined to be in. Now, by partnerships, Gemini, that also means business partnerships, best friends forever. Geminis always have a twin, not necessarily a twin flame, but like somebody that like is their twin all the time. So I believe Geminis will be in strong relationships by the end of the year. Cancers. Cancers have been changing their philosophy about what daily life should be. And a lot of that change of philosophy had to do with you're not here to caretake for everyone, okay? But by the time Saturn hits the galactic center in November, Cancers will understand the real lifestyle they were born to live. That also means the real work style, how you work, the quality of your work, and what you do for work. So you're finding your philosophy of work. Leos, very powerful. Leos have been changing their philosophy about love, and Leos are the rulers of love. So for God Universe to say, change how you love, it's as powerful as God Universe telling Tauruses to change, okay? By the way, I have a Leo rising, so I have been through the grill here. So Leo risings and Leos have been looking for their definition of love, clearing out their heart's intentions so they can have true love. And by the galactic center crossing in November, I think you will understand the love and the joy you were born to experience. And I'm assuming it's much higher than you thought. Virgos. Virgos have been changing their philosophy of emotional nurturing. And very much like Cancers, Virgos used to believe that they're here to nurture everyone else and not themselves. So I think a lot of the transformation you've had has been to nurture yourself and take better care of yourself. By the time Saturn crosses the galactic center, you will understand the emotional foundation you need to have. Another way of looking at that, Virgos and Virgo risings will understand the childhood they should have had. And that should be the life you do have now, by the way. Libras. Libras actually have been changing the way they think, which is pretty big for Libras because Libras are very intellectual and very, very kind of, well, they just have their own way of thinking and they don't, although they agree with you, inside they're being very self-centered about what they think. And they've been changing their philosophy about thought, their philosophy about reason and logic. And I believe by the time that Saturn crosses the galactic center for the second time, Libras will have a new attitude, the attitude they were born to live with. And for those Libras who are messengers or who create intellectual property, you'll probably have the message you were born to share. Very powerful. Scorpios. Scorpios are very philosophical about self-confidence and values. And frankly, you had some outdated values when Saturn went to Sagittarius, some old school kind of royal knight values. A lot of Scorpios I know are still living in like the romantic Renaissance era with values and when they take the knee. So Sagittarius were changing their value system basically, and by the time Saturn crosses the galactic center on November 25th, Scorpios will be clear on the abundance you were born to attract. So you will understand what you are worth and what you are deserved to get. The beginning is what are your values. The end is this is what you should get for them. So powerful stuff for the Scorpios. Sagittarius is probably the most affected by this particular transit, okay? Sagittariuses have been exchanging their ego and their character. And you know Sagittarius, they're perpetual children. They never want to grow up. They just want to play and have fun. So they've been been forced to grow up probably the most, and they've had a lot of hard times. My Sag friends have been having really difficult times under the Saturn transit because it's been asking you to change your ego and character. Well, by the time it hits November 25th, you will be the person you were born to be, which is very exciting. And you can underscore that twice if you're a Sag rising. So by your birthday, basically, you will be who you will be known as in this lifetime. Up until now, it was always the time before you changed. Okay? Even if you're 96, this was the time before you changed. Capricorns. Capricorn's theory on personal faith has been what's under construction here, and that's very hard for Capricorns because they tend to only have faith in things they can actually see, and the universe was pushing them to have faith in the unseen, have faith in certain energies inside of themselves. And so by November 25th, I think you're going to be clear not only on what your personal faith is, like where to find it inside of you, but also on your spiritual mission. I believe that Capricorns and Capricorn risings will know why they were born and why they decided in heaven or whatever the other afterlife is to come here in the first place. Aquariuses have been working on their social acceptance. They haven't quite known where they fit in the world. And part of that's because they're so unique. Part of that's because the world hasn't been ready for them. All right? So you've been really trying to look for your social identity in this Saturn and Sagittarius transit. But by the time that Saturn crosses the galactic center, I believe Aquariuses and Aquarius risings will understand their public destiny. You will know who you are meant to be in the world and how the world will know you. And then finally, our Pisces. Pisces have been working on responsibility altogether, which if you know Pisces is not easy. Okay, like Pisces have a hard time being responsible. They just want to go with the flow. They don't want to have to be told to come to any one destination. This has affected Pisces' career and Pisces' legacy because they've been unsure on where this journey is headed. So it's been a very lost time for the Pisces. But I believe by the time it crosses the galactic center on November 25th, Pisces and Pisces risings will understand their own personal legacy. You will be clear about why it is you have incarnated and where this is all leading to in the end. Basically, what your gravestone will likely say if you choose to be buried and not burned, right? And Bella is having fun with the spirits today. So that is Saturn direct, my friend. We're going to move forward. I think this first week of Saturn direct is going to be very foggy because Mercury is still retrograde. But after Mercury goes direct and moving into next week, you should probably see whatever story I cited for you moving forward in a very powerful way. In other words, characters and actions and scenes start to move forward finally, and it'll be very interesting to see. I would say, knowing what I know about astrology, everything you lived up until now was past life reenactment and understanding. Only this last chapter to December will be the new and the fun stuff. So I, for one, am excited. Now, I want to remind you there's a couple of places you can find me on the internet. You can always find us on our Facebook club, by the way, at namastetoday.club. You can see my shows there. Or if you like to come to my personal website, it's seriousjoy.tv, where I post all of my shows there, and you can find out information about my readings. But probably my most profound work, and the work that I get most acknowledgement for, is my personal Sensei service, where I take your date of birth and your information, and I give you daily guidance on what's going on in your story. I'm continually adding features to this. In fact, we're about to release our September Megascopes, where I give a 10-minute audio dissertation for each of the 12 signs and your rising signs for the next month of September. So now is a better time than ever to join. If you want to know more about it, visit me at seriousjoy.com. All right, friends, good luck in this last week of Mercury retrograde. Have fun moving on to the story you were born to live. I'll see you next week, same bat channel, same time. Until then, remember, I love you, and to live, love, be.